Hey everyone, this is Vinny from Ari. In this video, I want to talk about how to clean up imported models when they come in triangulated, such as this. So here you can see we have a model that clearly had quads at one point, but now has all of these edges bisecting these quads, turning them into tris. So now what you could do is manually go through and select all of these diagonal edges and use Control Backspace to remove them. But there is a much simpler way to do this in Max using the Quadrify All tool. So for this tool to work properly, we do need to make sure we are working with an edit poly and not an editable mesh or something else. So I'm just going to click on my model, right click, and go to Convert to Editable Poly. Now this tool is going to be found in your ribbon. And if you don't have your ribbon showing, you can press this little drop down arrow. And it's going to be within the Modeling tab within the Geometry All section. And here I can click on this drop down, and that's going to bring up this Quadrify All tool. So if we press this drop down here, we have a few other options. So the Quadrify All is going to do exactly as it says. It's going to remove all of those bisecting edges to turn our tris into quads. We also have the Quadrify Selection, which is going to quadrify whatever we have selected in our sub-object selection. And then we also have two useful tools, which are the Select Edges from All, which is going to show the edges the Quadrify tool will remove. And we're going to be using that in a second, just to show you the benefit of that. And we also have a tool that does a similar thing in the selection mode. So if I just press my Quadrify All tool first, you can see what that does. It's going to go through and remove all of those edges to give us what appears like a nice, clean, quadded mesh. But if you're paying attention, there are still a few issues here. We can see we have a quad still existing right here. And there could be two possible reasons for this. One is that our original mesh just didn't have good topology, so the Quadrify All tool could not work properly. Or also the Quadrify All tool could select the wrong edges when it goes through that edge removal. So if we just press Ctrl Z to go back to that triangulated model, what we can do is go back to that Quadrify All tool. If we click on the Select Edges from All, and then just go to our Edge selection, we can see which edges that Quadrify All tool is going to remove. So if we look here, we notice that it's actually removing the wrong edges. Now, again, there could be many reasons why it's selecting these edges to remove, but what I would do is manually go through and remove the edges you don't want. So in this case, I would click on the proper edges I want the Quadrify tool to remove. And then I would just remove them myself, such as this, and then run the Quadrify tool again. So you can see this issue is happening in a few different places in my model. You can see I have tris here instead of quads. Now I could go through also and manually clean this up, such as putting a cut here and then removing these two edges in between, this one and that one, and that's going to give me cleaner quads. Of course, I'd have to go through and clean up any other ones that are existing. But if you wanted to just simply remove all those edges before you run the Quadrify tool, what you can do is, now that we have this mesh quadrified, I can select all those tris to see where the Quadrify tool did not work. Now the best way to select those tris is actually to look in your ribbon under the Selection tab, and if we go into our Polygon selection here, we have a really great option called the By Numeric Selection. So now what this tool does is it selects polygons based on the number of sides those polygons have. So I have an equal sign, less than sign, and greater than sign, and these are all going to work in response to the number of sides I have listed here. So I always use 4 because I always want to select polygons that are equal to 4 sides, less than 4 sides, which are tris, and greater than 4 sides, which are n-gons, and I can simply select those by pressing the select button here. So equal to is going to select all my quads, less than is going to select all my tris, so you can see I have 430 tris within my model. And then I can click on my greater than, which is going to select any n-gons, and you can see I have no n-gons selected here. So now looking at our tris, we can look through where the Quadrify All tool did not work properly. And what we could do is go back to our triangulated model and clean up these edges where they are, or we could just work now with our newly cleaned up model to remove these tris. So I could go through here and delete those edges like that. And then I can go through and clean up the rest of my model. Again, you have two options there. You could go through and manually delete the edges that the Quadrify All tool does not select properly, or you could just clean up your model after. Again, the Quadrify All tool is only going to really work if you have good topology, so it's not totally a one-button solution, but it really does get you 90% of the way when cleaning up those triangulated models. So if you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where we release tips, tricks, and tutorials on CG visualization software such as 3ds Max, V-Ray, and Rhino. You can also check out our website, ari.school, where we have full-fledged courses on architectural modeling, product modeling, and much more.